Hey guys, backyard scrapping here. I am actually changed up what I wanted to do a little bit. I was going to do some ram fingers, but I've got a bunch of processors here, and they're different kinds, so we'll have to do different batches. But I want to go ahead and get these processors done and get rid of them. I actually did a couple in here with the little torch, taking them off, but it stinks too much, so we are going to actually move outside, and we're going to do the easy ones first. These don't have any backs. We'll have to actually come back and knock these backs off of these, and these will be separate. This will be a separate batch. That'll be a separate batch. So, but anyway, these ones that don't have any backs on them, we're going to go ahead and go outside and get the pins off of those and do some processors, I think. See what we can get on them. Alrighty, so we'll be back at you in a few. But we're just going to go ahead and get these boogers knocked off. Okay guys, we got these done. See right here what we got. Now I have to separate that out and clean it up. Take the MLCCs out. I'll count how many of these there was. I'm actually going to have to knock the backs off of these, and then we'll do the same thing that we did here and the same thing with these. I believe these are a different type of metal underneath, if I'm not mistaken. So we will be processing those separately. These I think we can do with those, but they also have the heavy backs on them, so they have to come off. And then we have all these black fiber and this brown fiber, which I do believe have to be done just like they are. I don't remember because I haven't processed those before. So I don't remember. I watched a couple people do them, but I don't remember exactly how they did them. These are going to be the same as these. All of these here will be. So I'm not going to put you through that. I'll let you know exactly how many processors we ended up with and the total weight of our pins after I clean them all up. And then we are going to go ahead and put these guys in some hydrochloric acid to get rid of the tin. And after that, we're going to do them in nitric acid and process them down and see how much gold we get out of them. So we will be back at y'all in a bit. Okay guys, we are back. I just wanted to go over a few things with you real quick. These were the processors that I had to remove the nickel-plated copper backs from, but I just wanted to show you something. This processor, or these processors, probably actually came out about the time gold really started to move. Well, you can see the stack here we have, and the stack here we had no gold plate on the back of these. But if you turn these over and you see what they actually started doing, this is a little older processor. They quit putting the gold plate and attaching the chip to the plate with indium, and just went to using the heat clay or the heat paste, whatever you want to call it, and just using this. See, on this one they used both that black sticky, but they also attached it with indium and to this little gold plated area. The actual chip was attached. These, they just did it like a regular heat sink with the paste and just this. So even though these are basically the same kind of processors, you can see that as probably the price of gold was changing, the way they started doing these changed over to this method. And none of these, actually none of the larger ones which came off of these had gold plating on them at all. So only 6 out of this whole little stack here actually had gold underneath them. So I'll set those aside, and maybe one day if I happen to get some more that have the, you know, the plating on the inside, we'll strip that off and actually try and recover some of that indium that's under there. The indium's actually about, I don't know, maybe worth as much as silver, maybe a little bit more. But so anyway, we ended up with a stack full of nickel plated copper heat sinks. Each of these, the larger ones, weighs, I think it was just a hair over an ounce a piece, and the smaller ones are actually just a hair under a half an ounce. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and knock the pins off of the rest of these. These are the ones we didn't get finished up the other day. And then back in that corner, these are the black fiber, which have to be just processed directly in Aqua Regia. I actually looked that up. And then these are also some Pentium 2 slot processors that have to be processed a different way. So we're going to go ahead and finish taking the pins off the rest of this stuff. Then we'll check to see which ones are magnetic, which ones aren't. And then we will get to processing some pins. So we'll be back at you in a few. Okay guys, we are back outside again. This is actually a couple days later. I actually took these to work with me to get the backs off of them. But we're going to go ahead and continue on removing the pins from the rest of these processors. It's actually about probably 9 in the morning, so it's still fairly cool, but I can already tell it's going to be really hot and humid today. So I want to get this stuff done before we get to that point, because I don't like it hot and humid. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and fire up our torch, and we are going to continue to remove these pins. One thing I wanted to bring up briefly, while I was just thinking about this because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and it reminded me to tell you guys about this, but I don't know. Now you can see this, what we're doing is we're just heating these up and taking it off, but you see that little blister there? I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is actually where I started getting the processor too hot in the flame. What you want to do is you want to, when you see that solder sheet over, you want to take it away and knock the pins off of it. If you get it to the point that this is bubbling or it starts to blister, the pins can actually pop out. In other words, they can actually just fly out. And then you have little, because the solder is boiling, so you'll have little hot pins flying everywhere. But I just wanted to bring that up because I just did it because I was watching the cat and I let that area get a little too hot and I popped a couple pins out, and it reminded me of it. So if you've never done this before, you just want to take this, like I'm doing right here, you want to heat that area that you want the pins off of, And as soon as you see that solder start to shine over, take it away from the heat, you know what I mean, and knock them off. If you let it get to the point that that solder starts to blister or starts to get too hot, it will actually pop the pins right out and they will go flying everywhere. So I don't think I've ever seen anybody even talk about that, but anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that, because like I said, I wasn't paying attention for a split second and I actually did it, and I had to pick up some pins. So yeah, just don't let it get to the point that it's actually, you know, blistering up a lot, because then you're gonna have pins going everywhere. Alrighty, we'll get back at you when this is done. Okay guys, we are back inside. We have got all our processors, got the pins removed from them. Now we have the daunting task of separating out the MLCCs from the pins, which in this little bottle I've already done these. You know, these I did the last time we were processing the pins. So I have to do that. We had 35 that we started with before, and then I had to take the backs off of some of these, the plated, nickel-plated copper backs. We're going to save all of these because we have MLCCs on them, and we also have some flash plating, as you can see on there. So we'll save these for processing at a later time. The MLCCs on these, I don't know for sure, but being that they're processors, I would think that these would be the silver palladium MLCCs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep these separate, all these MLCCs that I pick out, and later we'll take these off the boards and we're going to see what those are, see if they actually are, you know, the platinum group metals on them and whatever. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and count these out, so I'll be right back at you. I'm going to see exactly how many we're starting with, and then we'll start cleaning these up and see what our final weight is. So I'll be back at you in just a bit as soon as I count these up and see where we're at. Okay, we are back. We had a total of 116 mixed green fiber processors. I'm not going by weight, I'm actually going to go by the processor count, because of, you know, some had the copper backs, some didn't have the copper backs, and the large copper backs actually weigh over a troy ounce a piece. So that, you know, that could really just, it's hard to figure weights that way. So I'm just going to do a count. So we had 116 in total. I'm going to go ahead and get started cleaning these up. It's probably going to take quite a while, and then we will get back at you with a final weight on our pins. The reason I have them this way is because I want to check them to make sure I can process them all together, because these are all one type of processor, these were all one type of processor, and these were all one type of processor, and there is a slight difference in the pins. So I just want to make sure that we can do this all in one batch. We're not going to do these right now. The black fibers and the Pentium 2s we're just going to save for another time. So we'll get back at you when we've got the MLCCs cleaned out of all of this and we have a total weight. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, we got our pins sorted out here and separated. What I have actually done is I have divided them into groups according to how they reacted with a magnet. We picked out all of our MLCCs. Like I said, I'm going to actually keep these separate because I would think, being that these came off of processors, that they would actually be the ones that would have the silver and the palladium in them. So we're going to keep them separate and just save them up. But we ended up with 107.06 grams of these smaller pins. They are magnetic, you know, with a neodymium magnet. I'm not going to pull the magnet out again and do it, but they're magnetic, but they react differently from these. These are highly magnetic. I mean, they are, you can barely pull the magnet off of them. So I'm pretty sure that these are iron. I don't know if these are reacting to the nickel or what that is in them, but these are the least attracted. These are kind of in the middle, and these are like you can barely pull the magnet off of them. So I'm going to do them in separate batches for that reason. I don't want to mix up, you know, batches because, or mix them all together because, you know, it could foul them up. And there's my reactions to the magnets, so that's how I'm going to process them. We have a total of about, let me see, we had 107.06, 107.06 plus 16.37 here, and we have 40.51 there, so we have a total of 163.94, 163.94. Because these came off of newer processors, I'm probably only going to expect, I don't know, maybe a gram or a little more than a gram of gold off of these. So it's going to take 163 points, so say 164 2. It's going to take probably 300 to 350 milliliters of nitric acid to do these. I'm actually going to put them in a little bit of hydrochloric first and get rid of that tin that's on them, and then we are going to dissolve the base metal with nitric acid. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here because otherwise it's going to be super long, and we will get back to you in the next video where we are actually going to process these pins. I know, sorry again, I said I was going to do you know, the ram fingers, but we're going to save that for later on, you know, maybe in the fall. Right now I want to do some of this harder stuff and do some stuff that we haven't done yet. So we're going to go ahead, and our next video will be actually on processing these pins, refining them down and seeing how much we get out of them. I'm only expecting, like I said, maybe a gram or a little more. So we will get back at you guys in the next video.